What up, guys? The Bench Buddies are back with our NBA projections for the playoffs. We're picking all the teams and who we think we're going to win it. Every game has played at least one game in the series, and we're doing these picks based off of that. Just some quick reactions. So we just wanted to do something a little fun here. Nothing involved, no money this time, but just a fun contest and see how we think it's going to end up. So Ty, I'll start with you in your bracket. But before we get into that, make sure you hit that subscribe button, get us to 500 subscribers. And in our last video, I said we'll be doing the giveaway soon. We're almost there. We just have narrowed it down to a few people, and we're just going to draw out of a hat live on a video. So we will do that, and then we'll get in contact with those winners. But Ty, take it away.
All right, I'm going to be honest here. So I picked this before all the game ones. I'm going to stick with my original predictions here. So we'll start up at the top. Give me the Suns in 5 over the New Orleans. I think they can maybe scrape one out at home. And they competed in game 1, so it's still possible. I got the Jazz in 6. That game's coming down to the wire right now. If they win tonight, they might win that in 4. But I obviously feel good about them winning. I got the Warriors. I said in 7. That's looking more like 4 or 5, but I got the Warriors moving on, beating the Nuggets. And then I have the Grizzlies in 5. Another one that's looking like I'm still confident in the Grizzlies, but it's not looking like 5 games, that's for sure. But Grizzlies moving on. I think they can get it together. I think they'll be all right. Miami and Atlanta, I got Miami, and I have them in 6, which I think is still possible. I think Atlanta with Trae Young, obviously terrible game 1, but he can get it together. But Miami just plays too good a defense for Atlanta to win 4 games. I got the Sixers and what did I say here? 5. I got the Sixers in 5, and I still feel good about that. They've dominated the first 2 games of that series. Toronto just doesn't have a superstar. They have a couple really good players. They don't have a superstar. Sixers have 2. Give me the Bucks. Obviously, the Bucks. I had them in 5. I think Chicago gets 1, but no more than that. Milwaukee is just going to impose their will. So this is before game 1. I still feel good about it. I took the Nets in 7 over the Celtics, even with game 7 in Boston. I think the Nets, Kyrie shows out in Boston. He plays with the chip on his shoulder, and I think him and KD are going to have a big game. They win game 7. Back to the West, you got the Suns and the Jazz. I think the Suns win this one in 5. The Jazz just have been really disappointing this season. Obviously, the Suns have been outstanding. I think that continues in the playoffs. And then he's been unbelievable this year. But I'm picking the Warriors, the team that's been there before plenty of times. I got them in 6 over the Grizzlies. I think Klay Thompson is finally finding himself. Obviously, Jordan Poole has been a revelation for them. So I got them winning that one. Heat 76ers, I think, will be a really good series. I'm going with the 76ers, the team with more superstars than the Heat. I think that'll be a really good series, though, if they end up matching up. I have the Sixers in 6. Nets, Bucks. I'm going with the Bucks in 7, just like it was last year in that same round. Just Giannis, he closes out series. That's what he does. He did it last year. I think the Nets, too much chemistry issues. They're talking about bringing Simmons back. I don't know if that's a great idea. So I got the Bucks moving on past them. Suns, Warriors. Give me the Warriors over the Suns in the upset. I know everyone thinks the Suns are running through the playoffs because they did it in the regular season, but just ask the Warriors. It's a whole new season in the playoffs. They won 73 games and didn't win the championship. So I'm going with the Warriors. Stephen Curry's back. Jordan Poole, again, just completely taking over in these playoffs. You got Klay Thompson. You still have Draymond Green. I think they get that win. And then Sixers, Bucks. I trust Giannis more than I trust Embiid or Harden for the Sixers. And Middleton. I trust Middleton, too. So I'm going to the Bucks in 6 over the 76ers. So you get a Warriors-Bucks matchup in my NBA Finals. And the Bucks would have home court, and I think that's the difference here. I'm going to the Bucks in 7. I think once again Giannis has a big closeout game. Bucks repeat We've seen it a lot in the NBA. It's not as hard to do in the NBA as other sports.
And in my bracket, you will see a few of the same things, especially in the first round. But I do have a different champion, and we're going to start it off with the Suns in 4. Shout out the meme guy last year. That meme kind of died, but time to bring it back if they win here in 4. They've looked pretty dominant so far. The Mavs are up 5 right now, but I'm still going with the Jazz. I just think, Luka, his question mark, if he's playing every game, if he's not, you don't want to evolve your playoff series around a guy if he plays or not. And I think that's going to get to him. It'll go longer than I think people expect. I think this one's 6. Jazz will, win it. But the Warriors, Nuggets, I got the Warriors as well. I think they'll win this in 6, possibly 5, depending on tonight's outcome. But if the Nuggets can steal one on the road, I think the series could shift back to Denver, and you could look at a possible 6-3 upset here. It all comes down to, I think, tonight's game that's currently playing. And, the Nuggets are really good at home. Obviously, the Mile High City, elevation and breathing, essentially, is different up there. So it could be a factor early in the series, early in the game, and that's where the Nuggets could thrive. But I'm not saying they're going to win that series or have a shot because of the altitude. But I do like the Warriors. I think they're going to get it done. Obviously, Curry will be back by the time the series is over. And in the 2 versus 7, I had the Grizzlies in 4, but since they already lost and I've seen some things, the Grizzlies, I think they're going to win this one in 7. It's going to be a longer series than people expect. Cat and Anthony Edwards this year have been great. Definitely a duo that's flown under the radar. A team that made the play-in game, could have easily been the 6th seed as well if they didn't falter late. But you got to give credit where it's credit's due. The Timberwolves are playing really good, and they're a team for the future, but it's just not their year this year. Moving over to the East, we have Miami in 5. We saw in their first game, pretty dominant, shut Trey down, but losing Capella obviously does not help that Hawks team, as that he was, the big force inside to potentially stop Bam. Now they lose that, and it's just kind of, they have nothing to throw at him. So Heat should easily win there. Sixers in 4 after they won tonight. Scotty Barnes, with him being out, it's a whole different team. They really were competitive in the first half, and then the second half, they didn't have a game plan because Sixers found out, okay, we need to do these things because they don't have Scotty Barnes. So Sixers should win that series pretty easily. Bucks, kind of the same thing. I think Bucks in 4 as well. The Bulls aren't the same team that they were at the beginning of the year. With losing Lonzo, I think that's just when their season started to go downhill. He was the glue guy for that team, the facilitator, get everyone involved, make everyone better. And since he's been down, the Bulls have coasted to that 6th spot in the playoffs. They could have easily fell to that play-in game if they didn't play well down the stretch to clinch it. Bulls, I think next year, if they can stay healthy, they could be a 3-2 seed as well. And then the last, best series for last year, I think. This one's going 7, but I am going with the Celtics. Tatum owns the Nets. He owns the Nets. And Irving, he's going to put up some great games, but in the Garden, they're going to boo the crap out of him in Game 7. He might throw some birds at some fans again. But I'm just liking Boston here. Tatum and Brown potentially could be the best duo, I think, in this setting right here. I know it's kind of high expectations of Curry and Clay. If you look at what Tatum and Brown have been doing, not just this year, in their careers together, I mean, it's a scary duo, and it's tough to stop, especially with Tatum's length and Brown's agility. But we'll move over to the second round here. Phoenix and the Jazz. I think Phoenix wins in 4 again. The Jazz really can't compete. As long as DeAndre Ayton's out there to limit Rudy Gobert's shot blocking ability, their guards is the big question mark, and that's where the Suns thrive. So I don't think this is going to be a backcourt game. It's going to be front court series, and that's where the Suns thrive. So they're going to win easy. And you can say the same about this Warriors-Grizzlies game. Hopefully it's a Curry versus Ja matchup. 2 electrifying players that everyone likes to see. And I'm going with the 2-seeded Grizzlies in 7 to shock, I guess you could say, my preseason pick to win it all in the Warriors. The Grizzlies, bad first game. I think it's just jitters. A lot of those players haven't been to the playoffs and played a very competitive game like that. They're going to shake it off, hopefully win this next one, and then split Timberwolves to get to this spot. And I think that's going to be the same way as they progress through this. season. So they'll get to the Western Conference Finals. We have another upset with the Sixers beating the Heat. Harden and Embiid will be clutch in this series. They're going to win in 6. It's going to be, I think, lopsided games of some wins. I think each team will win a lopsided game. In the end, I'd like the Sixers better than the Heat. I know with all the playoff experience the Heat have. The Sixers, they've been on the wrong side of history in close games, especially Harden and Embiid, but I think they're going to really step it up this year. Moving to the last series, I really think this is the coin flip series of them all this year. You have two teams that probably could have matched up in the Eastern Conference Finals, and respectively, they both could win this year. But I am going to go with the Bucks. You can't bet against Giannis. It's tough to, it's Giannis Antetokounmpo, MVP. Everybody loves this guy, and he's the main reason why they're going to get back to the Eastern Conference Finals. We're moving over to the West. We have the Phoenix Suns representing clear-cut best team in NBA this year, and I don't see them faltering. I think they're going to win in 5. The Grizzlies will get a game from them, but the Suns are going to have an easy path to the finals, and really that's when they're going to be battle-tested. And they're going to be battle-tested against the Bucks. The Bucks are going to close out the Sixers in 6, and we got a finals rematch of last year. The Suns were up 2-0 last year and then lost in 6, lost 4 straight games to the Bucks. So they're going to be wanting some revenge, and I think they're going to get it. The Suns are going to win in 6, just like they did where they supposed to last year. Essentially, they had that title on lock. But I think this one's going to be closer. It's going to be 2-2 going into game 5. I think it's in the West, I believe, has home court advantage. I think that's going to play the part and really clinch why the Suns are going to win this year. But, if you're a smart man, they're the best team, best odds. There's no upsets as much, in March Madness as there are in NBA. There's not as much. So I think we're going to see a rematch this year, but it's going to go a different way. That is going to be it for the video today. Make sure to hit that like button down below. Comment what you guys think, what's going to happen this year in the playoffs, and don't forget to hit subscribe as well. But until the next time, the Bench Buddies are out.
She never called back.